Okay, good day. So we got a nice piece of ash here. You can see that. And we're going to make maybe a hollow form out of this. I'm not really sure yet. So I'm going to go clean this up. And then we'll set it in the bucket. Pour some epoxy and get her in the vacuum chamber. Okay, so we're going to put some hot glue there, but the mold release doesn't, the glue won't stick to the mold release, so this is supposed to help you get it out easier. I don't know. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I always put mine in a bag so that in case there's a bit of epoxy spill or something in the vacuum chamber, it doesn't make a big mess. Anybody who's been vacuuming epoxy for a while knows what I'm talking about. And if you don't, well, good on you, but I sure seem to be able to spill it every once in a while, so this just helps. Okay, that should be it. The glue's holding, or will be holding shortly. Hope. Give that a minute for the glue to cure up. Okay, into the vacuum pot. Mix up some epoxy. Okay, we're not even going to mess around with this one. We're going right to the 3-liter pour because we're going to need at least that much. Using deep cast epoxy from Designer Epoxy. So today I'm using deep cast epoxy. It just has a nice open time. Gives it lots of time to get into all those nooks and crannies and really deep into the wood, which really makes a good solid bowl. Most of the wood that I turn with is local wood that I harvest myself, and a lot of it's cracked, which is fine. I don't mind. It kind of fits right into what I'm doing with the epoxy. That's a great way to salvage a piece of crappy wood. So here I'm just using some lilac. So I'm just adding a little bit of glow in the dark here. Just when you charge these up with a lot of light, like some sunlight or something really bright, they look pretty neat with that little hue that gives off. And now we mix. Okay. So we're into the vacuum process here. This whole thing takes about an hour. I cycle it on and off. I sped this up a lot here just to not bore everybody any more than necessary, but it takes about an hour. When you get in those big bubbles at the end there and it's not really rising anymore, that's when it's done, and that's when I take it out. And the next step is, of course, putting it into the pressure pot, which really will drive the epoxy deep into the wood. Okay, I think we got her. She's ready for the vacuum chamber, for the pressure pot now. Okay, so I'm going to top this with some black, and then we're going to let it sit for a couple hours, and then I'll come and check on it, and we may have to add a little more to it as well before it cures for 3 days. So it goes in here, sits here for 3 days at about 65 psi. And you got to check it after a couple hours, especially ash especially is really bad. It soaks up a lot of epoxy, so it'll need a top up here in a couple hours. We're going to mix up a couple of liters here, maybe maybe a liter, 1 liter of black epoxy. So we got some black with a little bit of pearl white and then just a little bit of glow in the dark. And we're going to top this up. Hopefully this is going to be enough. But I will have to check it in a couple hours to see how much the wood absorbs. That's going to look really cool. A little dive here. Couple spots, just see if we can push a little down. I'm interested to see what this will look like. Hopefully this looks cool when we're done. Okay. Pressure pot for a couple days. We're going to put it in here right now. We're going to pressure it up for about 2 hours. We'll come back and check to make sure our levels haven't dropped down too much because the wood absorbs a lot of epoxy. So it's important to, at least for a piece like this where you want epoxy to the top of that bucket, to check on it in a couple hours because believe me, that wood will, when you pressure it after vacuuming it for so long and then pressure, the wood just sucks that right up. So makes for a beautiful piece. Okay, we'll be back in a couple hours. Okay, it's been 2 hours. Let's have a look and see where we're at. So there you go. Look how far down that's gone. So yeah, we gotta definitely do a top up here. Okay, here we go, 1.5 liters. So I guess the real downside to turning epoxy is you turn most of it away. At least 75% of it won't be on the final product, but sure looks good. Five and a quarter liters of epoxy on this one. So if you wonder why it's so expensive, that's why. Well, that's partly why. In 3 days, so we're going to open her up and see what we got. Very nice. Good day. Okay, so 3 days later, and we got our epoxy out of the pressure chamber. So let's see how we do getting it out of here. So getting these out sometimes isn't the easiest thing in the world, but they always come. Usually come anyway. Sometimes you got to cut them, but not very often. Okay, there it is. Not bad. That's going to be nice. That's looking pretty good. Okay, not bad at all. Get some color separation here, but all in all, I think that's going to look really nice. Once we're going to hollow this. This will be a hollow form, I believe. Hello everyone. Welcome back to my turning channel. I thought I'd try something a little different today with a little voiceover on some of the things I'm doing, because some people have been asking what am I doing and to explain it. So I thought I'd give it a go here. So bear with me. Not an overly talkative person, but I'll do my best here. Okay, so I'm just getting this centered on. It's just being held on with vacuum, so it's got to be on pretty straight, minimum wobble, and Now I'm just going to round it and get it ready for the glue block. I cheat a bit with my grinder, but that's a 60 grit flapper disc that saves a lot of time in sandpaper. Here's the glue block here. Just hot melt glue pressed on with the tailstock, and that secures it, and that works really well. It holds that big piece on there like nobody's business. They don't come off. If it comes off, it wasn't put on properly the first time. So I've had great success with these glue blocks. Okay, so now it's in the chuck, and we're just going to continue to make this round. This is where all the big chunks come flying off of it, so you get it fairly true, and then it's not bad. Please like, share, and subscribe. It sure helps with getting these videos out to other people that might want to see them. And I sure appreciate anybody who's taking time to watch any video I make. So thank you very much, all of you. So I'm just getting the final shape here on the outside, and then I sand from 60 to 180 before I put epoxy on. And there's the super glue on the bark, just to keep the bark from being sanded away. That's a really important step. You're just going to get a real big divot there. And then top it off with a little bit of acetone just to finish up the curing. And get that sanded really good, and then we'll start coring it out with the 3.5-inch Forstner bit. And it's really important for this to be really sharp, otherwise it won't cut nothing. If it's sharp, it sure does a good job, saves a lot of time. So make sure you watch the bottom, you don't go through it. Try to give myself an inch at least on the bottom before and then I'll finish it up with the chisel after that. And now the classic Forstner removal to get the explosion of wood chips and sawdust. Makes the turn exciting. Here I'm setting up the one-way coring rig and the stabilizers. You can see I got 2 stabilizers I just put together there. To make that one. It works good. I'm going to change the wheels on the stabilizer on the left side to rollerblade wheels like the other side is. Hopefully that'll help a bit. So yeah, this is just the hollowing rig from one way. As you can see, I'm a bit of a one-way fan. I got 2 24-36 lathes. And why do I have 2? Well, I had 1, and then I was able to buy a guy's shop, basically all his equipment, and I got another one with it, so I'm not sure what to do with that one yet, but it does come in handy when I'm doing a lot of bowls, because I can use it for turning and, turning it when there's a box on it, things like that. So, but generally it sits idle. I don't use it very much. And if you do a lot of turning like I do, it's always nice to have a spare just in case something goes wrong. I've yet to have a problem with my big one here. I've had it for a couple, 3 years now at least. And I bought it used as well, and it's just been absolutely excellent. It's bolted to the floor so it doesn't shake. So I'm just hollowing this piece out. And I've got the retrofit tool from Hunter Tools. And just so everybody knows, I'm not sponsored by anybody here, so if I am plugging the product on my channel, it's just because I'm a happy customer, and no other reason than that. So now we're just getting to the final sanding here. The outside, the inside's all hollowed out now. I leave it about a 1/2 inch thick, and now I'm going to pour epoxy on the inside. heat it up a bit so that it flows nice. And I'm just using art cast, so I coat the outside with it as well, inside and out. And then I let that sit for 24 hours. And I will then sand it back to just get rid of some bubbles with the heat gun there. I'll sand that back to get rid of all the divots and everything and make it nice and smooth. Then the next day we get back to sanding again, and this time we sand right up to 320. And then just continue on with the buffing. Denatured alcohol. That's just to keep it really clean so there's good adhesion of the Waterlux gloss. It's really important to wipe that with denatured alcohol before you put the Waterlux on. And then it gets its first of 3 coats of Waterlux gloss, which is a really good product. Dries fairly quick, so it doesn't have time for dust and stuff to stick to it. So that really helps. And it makes a really nice finish. People like shiny things, so that makes things really shiny. So as you can see, I am going to do a giveaway to my 100th subscriber. So if that ends up being you, send me an email and I'll send this to you pretty much anywhere you are, possibly even outside of North America. So anyway, thank you for watching, and we'll pick you up on the next video. Take care. Thanks everybody, I really appreciate it.